What is Moneyball? Moneyball is a powerful strategy that has transformed the way baseball teams evaluate players. It uses statistical analysis to identify undervalued players, allowing teams to build competitive rosters without overspending. It is also a method that had become so popular that it became a movie, as well as a book, and has now taken the football world by storm with clubs like Brighton, Barnsley, Brentford, Toulouse, as well, and USG in Belgium. Essentially, what Moneyball allows to happen is for the haves and have-nots to be on a level playing field, even though the haves, like a Man City or Manchester United, can way outspend the have-nots, like a Luton, a Brighton, or a Brentford. And the beautiful thing about Moneyball is that there isn't only one right way to go about perfecting this. There are 3 different styles, one of which is my own, that I'll be implementing within this series, but the other 2 are styles that have become pretty well known. One of those styles is the A's way. What is the A's way? It is using analytics to buy players to help win or sell on for a profit. And clubs that end up using this style are clubs like Brentford, Barnsley, and Toulouse in France. Now, the funny thing about Barnsley is that part owner of the club is Billy Beane himself, who helped initially implement this in Major League Baseball with the Oakland Athletics, aka the A's way. Then you have the Brighton way. What is the Brighton way? Using analytics to buy players to help win, sell for profit, or to develop based on analytical potential. Now, what I mean by that is Brighton basically do the same thing that Brentford, Barnsley, and Toulouse do, but Brighton and USG are under the same ownership. They recruit the same way. They don't 100% rely on analytics all the way, because sometimes you can definitely tell that a player has incredible potential. So they buy into that as well as part of their analytical approach. And another thing that Brighton likes to do is they recruit based on position a lot of the time, not purely based on analytics. So even though there might be an incredible elite analytical beast out there at midfield, if they don't need a midfielder, they're not going to go get that midfielder. Instead, they will go for the main option that they may need to improve, whether that be a center back, a right back, or even at striker. But then there's the third way, which is the Gourmet way, which you will be seeing here throughout this series. I tend to do both the A's way and the Brighton way, using analytics to buy players to help win, sell for profit, develop based on analytical potential, or based on meeting the eye test. Which you're probably wondering what the eye test is. Well, we're going to get into that right now. So welcome to Moneyball to Glory. So with this series, this is going to be very in-depth, and I'm going to be putting a lot of work into this series. Probably the most that I've ever done with any save. And one thing that's going to help me do that is the skin that you currently see on screen right now. This is a very different skin than most of you are probably used to. One reason because we're on the tactics page, and the tactical board is usually on the left side, player names are on the right side. This is the opposite. Main reason for that is because I'm using the Musterman skin, which I will have a link down below in the description if you guys wish to give this skin a go for yourselves, because it is the perfect Moneyball skin. One major thing that this skin has is if I click on a player, there are no attributes. We will not know anyone's attributes this entire time during the save until the very end. This is where the eye test portion comes in. Based on the eye test, we know Ebereeze is an absolute baller, but also based on numbers, we also know he's an absolute baller. Before stepping foot into the save, I ran 7 different simulations for 2 reasons. One was because I needed to see what players are actually good enough to do what I'm going to be doing with this Crystal Palace squad, with the ways I'm going to be playing. The reason number 2 is because this is an updated database. We're starting on May 27th, 2024, so this is basically going to be like playing FM25. And how Eze has these stats right here to where I can kind of monitor and see how he's performing and if he meets the requirements needed, I don't have that for any of the players. So that's where those 7 simulations came in handy. It allowed me to create a short list of all the players that meet the criteria that I am looking for. And as you can see, it is color coded. There are 5 different colors which represent, obviously, 5 different things and 5 different levels that I need these players to be at to be considered to be a part of Crystal Palace. Now these are how these levels work. The pink that you saw, those are the elite level players. Those are going to be those top targets that we are going for. Green is Elite 2, which is the backups. If we can't get one of those targets within the pink tier, we will then go down to the green tier and try and get one of them because they are just as good as those in the pink tier, but just missed out on getting in to that top tier. If they are in yellow, they are in the solid tier. Very good players that are very solid options and can still help us get to where we want to be. If it's in the orange, they're last resort type signings, either due to how much I would have to pay them wage-wise, how much we would have to buy them for, or if their numbers just weren't up to snuff but were almost there to being in the solid tier. And then the light blue is everyone that is 20 years of age and under. Those are the Wonder Kids. And with the Wonder Kids, there is a rule to them. We will only be able to sign 3 a season because I do not want to stockpile a bunch of statistically great Wonder Kids and have a super team within 3 seasons. I want to try and make this as realistic as I possibly can. And the great thing about this short list that you see here on screen, that I am currently doing it in Google Spreadsheets, I will have a link down below in the description for all you to where you can actually take a look at this, see the criteria that I'm looking for with players, and be able to kind of figure out, okay, what type of team are we going to be building and what are these players going to be bringing to the table. And as we make transfers from that shortlist, because every transfer will be from the shortlist that I make from season to season, that shortlist will be updated, so you guys will constantly be able to go back to that same one and see the updated names on there throughout the series. I will have a separate shortlist that has all the names on there that we have brought in to the club. Whether they stay or go, we will be able to see which ones work out and which ones do not. So, based off of all of that with what I just said, I currently have a group that we will be keeping at the club. You can see it here on the left side of your screen. We will be keeping Dean Henderson as our goalkeeper. Joachim Anderson and Mark Leahy both will be staying as center backs. The one thing that does worry me, however, though, is that Anderson is wanted by the Saudi clubs, and if we end up losing him, I will have to find a way to replace who was an absolute elite center back through those simulations. We will also have Tariq Mitchell staying at left back, Doucouré staying as our ball-winning midfielder because he is unbelievable. Eze will also be staying. Then we will have the likes of Chris Richards, Mateus Franca, Munoz, Jordan Ayew, Rob Holding, Adam Morton, and Sam Johnstone also staying with the club. One name you probably just realized I did not say is Mr. Michael Elise. There's a reason why I did not say his name, because he will not be staying with us. And that goes back to the realistic aspect of this series. He is actually now currently a Bayern Munich player. So I am going to keep it real and have him transfer to Bayern Munich. So as we can see right here in transfer activity, I already have that set up. He'll be joining them on July the 8th, just like he did in reality, for his release clause of £60 million. Now, one thing that you probably see on screen right now as well, and I'll zoom in for you now, we only have £100,000 in the transfer budget. So by moving Elise, that is going to help us bring in players, because elsewise we would have had to offload certain players anyways to try and improve this side, because there's a lot of players that will be releasing or trying to sell. And another thing about this transfer budget is that it's not going to automatically go into that transfer budget. I will have to use the editor to put the money into the transfer budget, and I'm not doing the whole 60 million. I'm probably only going to do 50 million so that it's kind of realistic to where we're not getting every single penny to go spend on players, because that doesn't happen in reality. But speaking of players that will be moving on from, it is a long list, as you can see here, but a majority of them will straight up be released because their contracts are expiring. And 3 players that I will have to look to sell are Adsone Edouard, Jean-Philippe Mateta, and Jefferson Lerma, which, whether they go out on loan for future transfer fees or we sell them outright, that's going to go a long ways with helping us get to where we want to be with this side. Because as we can tell by looking at it, we have a lot of improving to do and a lot of players to bring in to where we can actually field the team. So, how this series is going to work. Today was the intro, kind of giving you a background onto how things are going to work with recruitment and whatnot, what players we're going to have here, what players are going to be moving on, how things are going to go, and what exactly Moneyball is. But going forward, how is the upload schedule going to work with this series? What's going to happen is before every season, we will have a transfer special dedicated to going over the numbers and going over the players that we bring in before we go through a season. Now, like I said, first episode is going to be a transfer special. So next episode, nothing but upgrading this side, going over the numbers, and bringing in players. The next episode will be probably a few days down the line, because I will be playing every single game so I can be as invested in this as possible with you guys, because I just feel by simulating it, it's not going to have the same effect. So I definitely wanted to be invested in this series. So once I have played all the games within each season, then we will have a full episode dedicated to that season. So basically, every other video is going to be a transfer special. Every other video is going to be a full season. So by episode 5, we would already be going through season 2, heading into season 3. So it allows us to go at a pretty good pace. And also, keep in mind, with each episode, I will have that spreadsheet linked below so that you guys can see the updated players being added to that list, as well as the updated list of players being brought in, so that we can keep track of the successful signings as well as those failed signings. But there we have it. That is episode 1 done and dusted. I hope you guys did enjoy. Once again, feel free to check out everything down below as well. Also, if you have not seen the movie Moneyball, highly suggest you give it a watch. Absolutely fantastic movie, and you'll really understand what we're trying to do here with Crystal Palace, because we're one of those mid-table to lower table type sides trying to take down the big dogs, and doing it the Moneyball way will make it that much sweeter. But if you have enjoyed today's video, please feel free, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribing is 100% free, so want to hit the sub button. Until next time, everyone, have a good one. Bye-bye.